The aims of this project, which I called Teaching 1+3, was to increase the contact hours we made available to our students, because we're really aware that lots of our students want more and more time with us, but we're under quite a bit of pressure to do that. So I thought this time around I'd experiment with a course I'd taught for many years, which is called the Fin de siècle. It's a second-year option course, always a really popular one because we teach Dracula and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and lots of fun popular fiction, as well as Oscar Wilde and the aesthetic movement. And I think that year we'd recruited over 90 students to this option, which in practice would normally have meant 3 seminar groups running one after the other, plus a lecture. But I thought I'd play around with this and offer students a chance to go to a lecture, what I was calling a large structured class, and then signing up in the weeks where they really believed they knew the text, they were ready to set the agenda for discussion, to come along to an additional seminar as well in a small group. And then following that, there's an opportunity for tutorials one-on-one with me or my teaching assistant as well. So the whole thing worked really well because I had an excellent teaching assistant in the shape of my former student, Dr. Jessica Hindes, and we worked the project jointly together. And because she was so engaged, it worked really, really well for us. We were always together in a very large teaching space for about 6 hours on a Monday, which was pretty intense, but actually allowed us to really understand how the other one was teaching and interacting with the group too. And it was good fun. You know, it's good fun co-teaching with someone. Oftentimes we're alone in a room with a group of students throughout the day, but having another colleague there with an interest in the area again gave it a real buzz, and the students really responded to that too. So one of the changes that made this possible was that rather than the seminar being compulsory, which is standard for our courses, the lecture was the compulsory part, and then students could choose what they added on top of the lecture to build up, in theory, up to 4 hours of contact with me in any one week. This course generally gets very positive feedback because it covers a lot of popular texts, and it's the second year where students are really getting into their stride. But we designed a more in-depth questionnaire really to pick out what students felt about their own learning experience, because one of the deeper aims of the project was to get students ready for the more student-led, in-depth seminars that we expect them to fully engage with in their third year. And we were aware that there was a bit of a step change between the first year, where we always have a very clear agenda for discussion and series of tasks, and the third year, where it's a more intensive text-based seminar and often less structured. So one of the aims was to get students ready for that, to understand the difference between something with a quite fixed agenda and tasks and one where they're really expected to contribute to shaping the direction of the discussion. That worked really well for those who participated in all forms of it, and many of them said in the feedback that they really understood now the value of a seminar group where everyone was fully prepared, where everyone had a point to debate and put forward, and that was great to see. On the flip side, one of the really interesting things was we monitored student choices about what they actually came to, and there were some students who, despite having potential 4 hours of contact on offer, would only come to the lecture quite a few weeks, or chose perhaps only to have 2 hours of contact, the lecture and the structured class, and didn't often come to seminars. And that was interesting for us as well, that actually calling something compulsory does have a value. In a sense, it means that students do come if you're monitoring attendance and saying it's compulsory. And so I think we'd be a bit reluctant to roll out that more voluntary model across all our courses and options. Well, the outcomes for us were very positive. In addition to having support from the teaching initiative funding from the college to run it in the first place, we were awarded jointly a commendation in the College Teaching Excellence Prize, which was lovely for us to have that recognised. And within the department, we've been asked to present the project to our Teaching and Learning Committee, and it's something that various colleagues are thinking about trying in their own courses. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but it is a way, when you have a large group of students, rather than repeating the same material to lots of small groups, you give students choices and you work in a more flexible way over the course of an afternoon to offer different activities.